Hey gamers, Gecko here. It's safe to say that 2.0 has been a resounding success for Guilty Gear Strive. The player count is up, the general reception of the game is very positive. Hell, at the time of recording, Strive has more players on PC than Tekken does. We're nowhere near Street Fighter, but hey, Tekken second best ain't too bad. A lot of people are coming back to the game to try it out again. A lot of new faces are showing themselves, giving the game a first shot. For a fighting game that's about to turn 5 years old, this has been a resounding success. And I really think that people would be hard-pressed to deny that fact. But that doesn't mean it has been a perfect launch. Just like with Season 4, there's been a couple of bugs that have found themselves into the current iteration of Strive. However, unlike Season 4, these aren't as direct or completely game-breaking. Well, most of them. It makes sense that they slip through the cracks, however, they have not been as prevalent or as obvious as things such as Ram's S sword toss staying after it hit someone. Several of them have been pointed out though, and while I was originally going to talk today about some of these bugs and bring people's attention to them, give a bit of awareness about them so you can know what to look out for, Arcsys beat me to the punch this time. Arcsys this morning released 2 back-to-back statements about the situation going on in Guilty Gear Strive with a couple of these bugs that have been found. And it really surprised me, because normally Arc System Works isn't that fast at addressing things like this. So I thought we should quickly read through both of these statements, let people know what the hell's going on in Strive, what Arcsys is going to be addressing relatively quickly, and talk about how this is a complete tonal shift for the company. Don't worry, these press releases are quite short, so this isn't going to take too much of your time. To begin with, Arcsys released a known issues blog post about several of the bugs related in Guilty Gear Strive. These include things like the announcer not saying Lucy's name at the start of the match, Sidewinder being spelled as 2 words instead of 1, Sol being able to use the Sidewinder move to get another wall stick after he already gets his first one, Axel's Winter Mantis being a little bit bugged, causing people to fall out of combos. I think that's what this one's referring to, at least. Nago being forced to pop while in his new Yuki mode, as well as it not applying correctly depending on the certain circumstances. And a big issue that a lot of people have been having, where the rank matchmaking is seemingly quite slow. It's taking a little bit longer to get into matches than it usually should. And these are all general issues, and none of them are exactly game-breaking. They're annoyances, which either lead to a little bit more damage or weird dropped combos, depending on what situation we're in. And the ranked matchmaking is definitely something that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. While people started to get ready for a bit of an uproar because Arcsys released this, and they didn't talk about one very specific bug, this isn't the only statement that they've made today. No, a couple of minutes later, they made another blog post talking about relative battle adjustments for 2.0. I'm going to read this one out in full instead of just skimming over it, so that you can see exactly what Arc System Works is saying. Thank you to everyone who has been playing version 2.0. The development team is constantly reviewing the feedback we have received since the update releases. For these battle adjustments, we focused on reviewing the overall satisfaction and playability of matches, while preserving the individuality of each character. With that in mind, we are currently prioritizing our investigation into issues that affect the fairness of matches, unintended behaviors, and elements that have a significant impact on battles. Specifically, we are focusing our review on the following items. A behavior where Happy Chaos can force the opponent into a continuous block string under certain conditions. Unintended behavior occurring by using taunt in relation to the action restrictions after whiffing a normal throw. This is probably people whiffing normal throw, cancelling into taunt, and then doing taunt PRC, which I didn't think of, but it's actually quite a fun way to get around the situation. But yeah, no, it's also broken. Differences in counter blitz pushback distance depending on characters, and attention penalty being applied when activating counter blitz. We're currently reviewing these matters, including possible responses. In addition to these items listed here, we will continue monitoring feedback received after the update. At the same time, we believe it is also important to observe not only individual reactions, but how the environment and strategies continue to develop over time. Any necessary actions will be carefully considered based on play conditions and changes in the battle environment, and we will share future information once decisions have been made. Thank you for your continued support on Guilty Gear Strive. Now, this isn't a confirmation of an emergency battle patch that is coming out, though it kinda is hinting towards one. I imagine more we're going to get a bug fix patch, which goes over several of the known issues that they've already talked about in version 2.0, that mixes in ways to deal with things like the Happy Chaos Infinite block string and the Taunt PRC. However, just this alone is enough to raise a couple of eyebrows from people who've been here for a while. You see, if you're just entering the Strive community now with 2.0's release, you might not know this, but Arc System Works didn't talk like this. For the longest time, Arc System Works were known for just sort of leaving everyone in the dark for a little bit. Mostly before Guilty Gear Strive, but still around in the early seasons, Arcsys were known for being quite vague and closed off about the things that they were thinking as a company and the ways that they were going to be working on the game. They wouldn't have told us what characters were coming out early in the season pass. That only ever happened in Season 4, with a couple of exceptions where we knew the next character that was coming a little bit early, like with Baiken being revealed a little bit earlier in Season 1. We didn't know the exact philosophy of what the balance changes were going to be like until the patch notes dropped, or until a dev backyard in which we would get slight information about what was happening and what the developers were thinking. And most importantly, if something was wrong with the game, it wasn't immediately addressed, even in a short blog post like this. If you don't know, Guilty Gear Strive's online for a very long time was broken. There's no real other way to describe it. The game would have an issue where it wasn't able to connect you to an opponent because the matchmaking server that would have you route into it and then route to your opponent would freak the fuck out. This happened constantly in the days of Celestial, where you would just desync from the lobby and you wouldn't be able to fight literally anyone. In the worst case, several people would be slightly desynced from each other, so you could fight some people, but not everyone. The best case scenario was actually you just get desynced from everyone and you have to relog into the lobby, which a lot of people had to do several times. But in itself, it was an absolute nightmare to deal with, and it was left unaddressed for years and years and years. Arcsys talked about fixing it several times and did small band-aid patches to it, but it wasn't really until the rank update came out that we had some actual ways to just avoid the lobbies. And now with 2.0's update coming out, a similar issue has begun to arise itself. Rank queues have actually started to extend on average, and the general quality of the rank match that you get, especially in Vanquisher, has seemingly decreased. Now you might be thinking, what the hell do you mean you're fighting other Vanquisher players? What I mean is, when you fight someone in Vanquisher, you're supposed to fight someone around your skill level. You have a specific number that is displayed that is your power level. Let's go with that. They call it your duel rating. If someone is around your duel rating, then you're supposed to be even in strength. If someone is very far below your duel rating, you're supposed to be stronger than them. If someone is very high above your duel rating, you're supposed to be weaker than them. Generally, the way that the rank matchmaking is supposed to work in Vanquisher, and in all of the ranks to be fair, is that it starts by looking for people exactly around your rank. And then, over time, it expands in both directions, depending on how long you've been in the queue. The longer that you're in the queue, the more lenient the matchmaking becomes, until eventually it finds someone else who's been waiting around the same amount of time and connects you to them. The problem that Strive has right now is that it's seemingly excluding everyone that is around your rank. Meaning that rank matchmaking is taking around 2 minutes to queue into a single match, and when you do queue in, you're going to get someone who's way above your DR rating or way below your DR rating. It is extremely annoying to have every single match be either a David versus Goliath type fight or a potential pipe bomb to your own elo. Because if you lose to that person who's way lower DR than you, you are going to lose a bunch of points, and they're going to gain a bunch. Now, if this was how Strive was at the start of the game, I would have imagined that Arcsys probably wouldn't have said anything about it. Maybe just seen it as a bit of a small issue, added a small bug fix in a little bit of a patch, not really saying anything, and just moved on, hoping the community resolved itself. But the exact opposite has happened. They have directly said they are aware of the issue, they're working on a solution, and hopefully we'll get one relatively soon, while the player base is still relatively high, I hope. And that's amazing. I actually hope that they are able to fix this, because Ranked is so much better than Celestial was. I enjoy it so much more. But it's also just weird after all this time seeing them talk completely differently. Over the past sort of year-ish, I've made several videos like this tentatively saying maybe they're different, maybe they're better now, but I'm not 100% sure. And with the way that they're talking about 2.0, I'm willing to say that Arcsys has finally properly changed their tone. The old Arc system works that would never talk to the community, never take their feedback in, never listen to them, and do balance patches their own way, seems to have finally been gone. I can safely say, after playing 2.0 for several days, as well as reading both of these reports, that, yeah, Arcsys are very much listening to what everyone wants to say, and they're communicating with us much more effectively. That doesn't mean that everything's about to change, though. One thing I want to bring up slightly, which I think is actually a really interesting part of the blog post, is they say that they want to observe and not go off of just the initial reactions to see how the environment changes and what strategies can come out. Arcsys are keeping a keen eye on everything that's happening, but they don't want to do any knee-jerk reactions. I think that that's really smart. Driver's never been a game to be balanced every other week, and it's never going to be. If you're expecting a big rebalance in a month, I feel like you're going to be sorely disappointed. We might get a big rebalance in 6 months. Maybe an emergency balance patch if it turns out there's no way to deal with that Happy Chaos Infinite, and we're definitely going to get some bug fixes way before then. But it's nice to know what their intention is and how they want to see things develop. And I think that's a very smart way of doing things. They've been able to admit that they're wrong with this big balance patch, changing a bunch of things that the community didn't like, but they're still willing to let us have enough independence on our own to figure out how to deal with things if there is a solution. And I really respect that. I think that's a very nice way to balance a video game, personally. And the fact that they told us that directly and I didn't have to infer it by looking through the scrolls and trying to piece together all the things that they've said in different places is a nice change of pace. It's really, really nice. I woke up today expecting to make a video talking about a bunch of the weird bugs that we found, and instead, Arcsys decided to say a bunch of them directly to me, say, we know about them, we're working on a change, and we're looking to see what happens. They didn't get every bug, though. I'll give you some freebies. Currently, Oscar has a bug where he can get infinite mana by using his mana regen card. It lasts around 6 seconds, and the Oscar players seem to really like it. So I don't know if this one's going to stay in the game, but personally, I'd like some form of hand on the scales. Bridget and Sin's DPs also force people to fall out of combos, similarly to the Axel Winter Mantis thing. Because of that, Sin, and especially Bridget, are getting heavy counter-hit combos after their own reversals, and that's definitely not intended. I know for a fact that that is not how that is supposed to work. But those are a couple of freebies. I'm sure that there's many more in the game. If you know any bugs that haven't been talked about in either the posts or the ones that I just mentioned, please list them down below. And hopefully, if enough noise is made, Arc System Works will see it, and the game will be able to continue to grow and prosper as it has been. Thank you all for watching. Arcsys, if you are somehow seeing this, please get that rank mode fixed. It's very annoying having every ranked match be a pipe bomb match. It's getting kind of exhausting. Make sure to subscribe down below if you want to see more Guilty Gear content in the future. I've got a couple of things related to Jam and the rest of the cast coming out later this week, so I hope you all enjoy it. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!